Alternative Facts Chicago.
Chicago's #1 podcast.
Chicago. The city of Chicago. Alternative Facts Chicago.
Chicago's #1 podcast.
Our favorite city.
Audio production.
The city of Chicago.
This is episode 71 of Alternative Facts Chicago. Getting ready for Christmas, New Year's, all that good stuff. It's Bihan back again. We're actually remote today. We're not together.
Yeah,
And how you doing today, Kate?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I was gonna say your name, but I forgot since you always say
Yeah,
that.
don't
I yell at you.
introduce me unless you give me like a good introduction, because then I'll do it myself. Because you're just
What?
like, this is Bihan and this is Kate.
How about next time you do the intro and you can give me a great introduction?
Or I can give myself an introduction and then be like, and this is Bihan.
How about that? I'm cool with that.
Okay, great. Let's do that.
How have you been?
Anyway, doing well. A little bit jealous that you're in Florida and I'm in 30-degree weather right now. So,
How's that going?
oh, it's fine. It's actually really not that bad today. I'm not gonna lie. It's nice. And then I'll be in Georgia. I leave Friday to make the drive down to Georgia for Christmas. So I will be in nicer weather very soon.
Well, you're driving down, huh?
Yeah, because I gotta take the puppy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Maddox has to go. I can't leave him alone for Christmas.
You can't put him on an airplane. He's small enough.
No. First of all, you have met Maddox. He is anxious as heck.
Oh yeah, that's
And,
true.
I cannot pass Maddox as like everyone's telling me like, oh, make him like a service dog, like emotional support dog. First of all, that dog needs an emotional support dog.
He does.
And he definitely cannot fly. He freaked out the one time on the L, and I don't think I could ever put him through that again.
On the train, he freaked out.
Oh my
man.
gosh, freaked out. And it wasn't even during rush hour. We purposely waited until the crowds had diminished a little bit, but he wasn't having it.
Gotcha. Well, he's a good dog. I like him. He loves
He's a
me.
great dog. He deserves a better introduction than that.
He loves me. So that's all that matters.
So, he loves me, and you're there sometimes.
You're always hating on me. So if people haven't noticed right now, she's hating on me at any and all corners. So it's all good. I can handle it.
That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. So we're wrapping up the year. This is actually our very last episode of 2018.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank God, made it through a whole nother year of Alternative Facts Chicago. So what we're going to be doing today is a little bit different. It's been a slow week. Honestly, not much has gone on. We're like, what the hell should we talk about today? So what we're going to do instead is do our 2018 Alternative Facts Chicago year-end awards. So we're going to talk about the best like music beefs, biggest Me Too movement, and a bunch of other things, kind of give our takes on some of the top stories of 2018. And we'll wrap it up, let you guys enjoy your Christmas and New Year's with everyone. But before we do that, let's plug our social media.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not living under a rock, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Alternative Facts Chicago, and then on Twitter. Bihan is always talking some nonsense at AFact Chicago. And then you can follow me at Kate, Cait, No Jenner on Instagram, and Kate Hassett on Twitter.
Awesome. And then my Twitter and Instagram is Bihan1984. You can always email us at alternativefactschicago@gmail.com. We're always on iTunes as well, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, and wherever you can find your favorite podcast. So make sure you follow us, subscribe, make sure you leave a review. And I think that's everything.
Think so.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into these topics. We got quite a few on the list. It's been crazy 2018, hasn't it? It's been nuts, right?
Yeah, it has been a
It's
crazy
been-
year.
Crazy year, but good year, great year. I think 2019, we're set up for success for the podcast and everywhere else in between. So before we get into our very, very first topic, we're actually going to pay some bills. So, hey guys, we want you to write this website down. Transatlantic Real Estate has a new website, marijuanastock.org. Once again, that's marijuanastock.org. And now I'm going to tell you why. As we transition into the holiday season, it's a great time to start thinking about giving and sharing That's why our friends at Transatlantic Real Estate have created an investment opportunity for the everyday investor. It involves legal marijuana as well as crowdfunding. Now, we know that this industry is one of the fastest growing industries in the world right now, but let me tell you why Transatlantic Real Estate is different. They have a business model that is simple to understand, that can buy and land that supports marijuana grow operations and lease it to licensed high-paying tenants. Now, how can you get involved? You can invest as little as $300 and up to $10,000 before the company, sorry about that, goes public. And here's some great news. They recently extended the offer, which means you still have time if you take action now. Now, you must confirm their online application. It's a very, very easy process. So make sure you go check out their website. Once again, it's marijuanastock.org. That is marijuanastock.org, and you can get in the game. So we want to thank our friends at Transatlantic Real Estate for the opportunity, and make sure you check them out. Now, you want to get into our first topic?
Yeah, 2018 was a huge year for music, particularly music beefs. So we got to talk the biggest battle of 2018. We got Drake versus Kanye, Drake and Pusha T, Cardi and Nicki, or Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly. I feel like we already know who Brian's got, but go ahead. I'm going to let you kick it off.
So on a normal day, I would pick Drake versus Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
Think who I know you're going to pick, especially with Drake and Kanye West madness the past week. So totally understand that could be the biggest beef of 2018. But for the sake of conversation, I got to go with Eminem and MGK, only because it was a firestorm, not only on my social media, but everyone's social media for 2 weeks, even to the point where I still see people randomly arguing about it to this day of who had the better diss song between Rap Devil and Killshot. Now, of course, I've already said it, and I'll go on record and saying again today that Rap Devil was better than Killshot. But I think for the first time, why it's, in my idea, the biggest music beef of 2018, because I think it was for the very, very first time in Eminem's long tenure career, someone actually decided to go at him, kind of call him out on some of the things he's been doing in his career, blackballing people, not letting people advance, holding people that, this and that and the other, and kind of being considered a recluse or someone who hides, in his mansion somewhere in the Detroit area. For the first time in his career, someone stood up to the big bad bully, kind of gave him a shot in the arm. And now what you see because of it is other rappers are now starting to wake up and actually go at Eminem, such as Gucci Mane. I've seen a lot of people on social media say he might not necessarily be the king of rap. That's yay or nay. But I think because of that story and what it did for 2018, I think that's the biggest and best music beef in my idea. A lot of people were debating it back and forth who had the better diss song. Should MGK come back at him once again? He obviously did not. But I think overall it was a great story for 2 weeks. It actually provided music for 2 weeks. And we saw Eminem in a lyrical battle, which we like to see him doing from time to time. He doesn't get to do it often. So I think it was a great moment in music for 2018. For about 2 weeks, then it fell off the map. But for 2 weeks, that was a hot story. What's your best music beef of 2018?
So I'm going to go with Drake and Kanye for the mere reason that it started back in 2010 and it's been as recent as 2 days ago. This has been literally around forever, and Twitter, of course, is still talking about it right now. So obviously they were friends in 2009. They give each other nods on interviews and this and other. And then in true Kanye fashion, April of 2010, Kanye came out in interviews as well as songs and made comments that Drake has gotten too big. So I feel like this is classic Kanye, just stirring his own beef. And Drake is one of the most, lucrative artists in the music game, always, to work with. Any collab he gets on blows up. Any crowd he runs in gets the media. You know what I'm saying? And so I just feel like this was Kanye stabbing himself in his own foot, like he always does, coming at somebody who was on top. Obviously, he was jealous. And I just feel like, their beef is still going on today. They're still constantly at each other's faces, and they keep getting the crews involved. It's just so funny. So I feel like this is the biggest one of 2018 because it just will not die.
It won't die. And I think it's more so Kanye West than anything else.
Yeah.
And, with his tweets, it was well over 100 tweets. I got 5 minutes in. I was like, I got to stop. I can't read this any longer. Who takes that much time to keep tweeting somebody when they actually lives right around the corner from them.
That's what I'm saying. It's freaking crazy. And the last time Drake shot back was like over a year ago. So it's just so funny that Kanye just keeps bringing it up. And, you know, now he's got Pusha T on his side and they're all friends so they can go against Drake. It's like, come on, bro. Like, get over it.
It finally took me until this past week to realize that Drake's entire verse of Sicko Mode, his song with Travis Scott, the entire verse is about Kanye West. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. So
the entire thing
is, but it's all because of like the recent stuff of him getting on with Pusha T. But yeah,
that's a sick verse, and for Kanye to know that, I think he's probably been stewing on that forever. So kind of makes sense. I get both sides. It just seemed petty. They're just rich. They're like obviously, you know, kind of level in their career. So it's just petty beef. It's probably really not one thing they can point to and say, here, this is why I don't like you, and vice versa. I think it's all entertainment. It'll end one day. They'll end up doing a song. But man, the fact that Kanye's like batshit scared right now and like scared for his life, I'm like, come on, bro. You really think Drake's gonna do something? He's not that stupid.
I actually don't think they'll end up making up. Like, I feel like this is gonna be the new theme with Kanye, where people just like ostracize him because he's nuts.
He is nuts, but he'll come back around maybe one day. But we'll talk a little bit more about Kanye West a little bit later in this episode. Next.
Yeah, let's move on to some political stuff in 2018. So obviously the Me Too movement has been huge. We got to cover the Women's March to the Polls here in Chicago. Chicago saw 2 women's marches this year. And then obviously the next one will be coming up. And, you know, lots of women coming forward years and years later of things that have happened to them and accusers and some pretty crazy people on the list. Of course, we got to name them. So which one was the biggest scandal? Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Morgan Freeman, Larry Nassar, or the one I just added, which was Brett Kavanaugh?
Ooh, Brett Kavanaugh. That's a tough choice.
Yeah.
It's a lot of tough choices here. I would say Larry Nassar, but for me, and like almost not to say a childhood hero, but someone I watched all the time growing up on the Cosby Show, got to go with Bill Cosby on this. So, and the reason being, just all those years you watched him on that show, and he was sexually assaulting women. It's freaking crazy, and the fact that right now it's his present day in 2018, Bill Cosby's in jail. Like, he's actually in prison. He's there. He's not getting out. He's serving his entire time, his entire sentence. He'll probably end up dying in prison. Or maybe not, but just the fact that where he was, from how high he was to how low he's at now, it's absolutely crazy. He has to be the top story from all the stories of the sexual assault and how many women that have come out. My only thing against it was like, I wish a lot of these women came out at this back in the day, but obviously for some reason they did not, or maybe it got swept under the rug. And now with the Me Too movement, they feel proud or able to kind of come out. So where there's smoke, there's fire. There might have been not some truth to some stories, but there was enough truth to enough of the stories for him to get convicted of this. So if he really did those things, which sounds like he did at least some of it, sorry, he is a clown for that. He deserves to get taken down. But man, it just changes how I felt about the entire Cosby Show, that whole run, because that was like the all-American Black family. Like, they all did good, very successful. He was a doctor. And now that show is basically written off from existence as if it never happened. So I'm going Bill Cosby.
I know, it's kind of like the first time that you figure out like your parents aren't perfect. You know what I mean? Like your world comes crashing down. Like,
absolutely.
I definitely felt that way about Bill Cosby. I definitely felt that way about Morgan Freeman. It was just like, man, these people that we look up to, not even just that, these like positive male role models, these positive Black male role models. And it was just like, you know, it was like we lived a lie. I actually kind of like more classified Bill Cosby as like the biggest Me Too movement of like 2017. Like, I feel like it all kind of started in 2017.
Right. It did.
So even though he was convicted in 2018, so I see what you're saying, but I think the biggest one for me is like tied between Harvey Weinstein and Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, the people that much like Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein is in the industry. He knows a ton of people. And I mean, the list of over 50 women that have come forward with allegations against Harvey Weinstein has been astronomical. I mean, going back to the Cosby days, you know what I mean? Like back that long ago when
Yep.
this was happening, like Ashley Judd, Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow, and these are all people saying it happened at the beginning of their careers. Rose McGowan, who's an advocate for how this affected her mental health, and she speaks out about these things. I mean, Mira
Right.
Sorvino, just like big names, and then even younger people, even like Cara Delevingne and people that we see today. So I think it just really like blew the top off of how deep this goes, like how wrapped up these people are in their own misogyny and how far they can take their own power. But I think it's tied with the Brett Kavanaugh one. I just think that this was such a big scandal because it really showed women in America that politics does not care about us. We elected Brett Kavanaugh into a political role where he can serve for life, and we didn't take the actions of his life into account. And I just feel like it was just so sad.
That's crazy.
And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there are great people in politics who are trying to pass laws that protect women, but I think that this was just a message that like nobody gives a crap.
Yeah, and it definitely did. And what do we see going into 2019? Not much has changed. So
Right.
It's definitely not a positive sign. I'm surprised you didn't pick Larry Nassar. That story, the doctor who dealt with all the young gymnasts, and I think there's over 300 some victims had come out from it. That's insane. That's so many people. Yeah. What a creep. And hit close to home for me since my daughter does gymnastics. So thank God that creep is put away and thrown under the jail forever. But that was also a big story. There's a lot more Me Too movement scandals. My opinion, it's getting a little out of hand right now, but hey, that's another topic for another day. But at least, there is some justice for a lot of these actions, and we'll see what happens in 2019. I feel like there's only going to be more people going forward.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we have to talk about it because the fact that, you said women are proud to talk about it now. I don't really think it's pride. I think it's the fact that it's been suppressed for so long.
Right.
And now it's like people are feeling okay to come out and to be vulnerable and to say like, oh, me too, no pun intended, like, hey, it happened to me too. And so like, I feel like it's important like to keep the dialogue open, because when we shut it down and when we say like, oh, some of these might be false, that's when we revert back to the old way of thinking. So absolutely.
So be careful, fellas. Watch what you're doing at work.
No.
Environment,
do the right
setting.
thing. It's not be careful.
Exactly.
Do the right thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great.
You have to be more careful. And like you said,
you have to do the right thing. It's not really that hard.
Right thing.
It's not really that hard to like not rape somebody, actually.
I'm not one of those people, so I can't speak for them, but keep your eyes peeled out there. So
more importantly, let's teach our kids to do the right thing. I think that's the more important thing.
Good tips from Kate.
Yeah.
On episode 71.
Thank you for the new year. You're welcome, everyone.
Switch it up. We're going to go to best Chicago sports team in 2018. And we're kind of thinking about this. We're like, wow, there's not really much to choose from.
Wait, not the Bulls? You don't pick the Bulls?
They're horrible. They almost got another fight again. Like, they're a mess. They're a hot mess.
They are a hot mess.
Chicago White Sox, they're getting better, but they still have a long way to go. Who else? So obviously it's really only down to our Chicago Bears, Chicago Cubs. I had the Blackhawks on there, but they just fired their coach, so we're going to take them back off. So who do you think of the year? Chicago Bears, Chicago Cubs. What's the biggest sports team to you in Chicago?
Oh my gosh, it's the Bears. Like, is that even a question? I will say I think the Cubs really choked going into the postseason because of the Addison Russell scandal, and of course we're going to talk about that in a little bit more in depth. But it's definitely the Bears. They have multiple Pro Bowlers. Trubisky has proved himself as a quarterback, coming full circle from the beginning of the season. They're officially number one in the NFC, and our coach was just named number one for 2018. So everything is looking up. We've had some fantastic wins. We beat the Packers, which is the highlight of any season.
That's not saying a lot because they're not that good.
Well, yeah, but still, for a true Chicago fan, it's something that we have to brag about.
Is that like the Super Bowl?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess.
Absolutely. And so I just feel like the Bears are having the best season, hands down.
So just to be different, I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs, only for the reason of how far they fell off at the end of the season. I think it's a bigger story. Like, they were in first place for most of the season. They were riding high. They had all their players, and then after a while, it just seemed to be that the team had season fatigue. I'm not sure what happened. Rizzo was in and out of the lineup. Chris Bryant was hurt most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Addison Russell had his drama, so that kind of hurt the team as well. So I felt like through the entire season, like everyone in the city just assumed that they were going to make the playoffs, and not just make the playoffs, but have almost a World Series type run. That's how well they were playing for a good 2 or 3 months in the season. And then September rolled around, and the team just absolutely collapsed. They didn't play that well. They backed into like the final week, like the playoff race, to where they had 3 different home games against 3 different teams to clinch a playoff spot, and they lost all 3 games. So for that reason, it was a disaster way to end the season. And now they're trying to get Bryce Harper to make some changes. So they have most of their team back, which we'll talk about here a little bit later. But I think overall, I thought that was a bigger story. They had the best team just in the way that it wanted. But now it's cool to see the Chicago Bears. They're up. We'll see what they can do in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to go that far, but it's just cool that they're actually good. They're competitive. The city of Chicago is better when the Bears are good. So it's good that they're the NFC North champs, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, show.
But yeah, and it's crazy though. Like I don't know what happened to the Cubs. They kind of just disintegrated at the end of the season. Like we all thought, like, man, they're going back to the World Series and crazy October run, and then it just ended in the blink of an eye.
I think morale was low. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think morale was low with Bryant out and all that stuff that went down with Addison Russell. I just think they couldn't pull it together. They're a young team. They still play extremely emotionally. So
absolutely. So cool. Let's switch over. We'll get back into some sports, some more Chicago topics here soon. We're gonna get back into some music. So 2018, incredible year for music in all facets. Hip hop, pop music, country music. I would say with the streaming era beginning, music itself is at an all-time high. Got the Grammys coming up in February here. So with that being said, we picked 5 albums. There could be a lot more that could be on the best album of 2018. The 5 that we picked, though, is Cardi B's Invasion of Privacy, Post Malone's Beer Bongs and Bentleys, Drake's Scorpion album, Travis Scott Astroworld, and then Ariana Grande's Sweetener album. Of those 5, what do you think was the best album of 2018?
So I gotta go back and really think about this, because I think a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it, I had said Cardi B, Invasion of Privacy, but now I'm thinking back to Post Malone, Beer Bongs and Bentleys. I feel like that was a really sound album. It's his second album. It's just been hit after hit. Every song's been top 10. Really good collabs with Sway Lee and Travis Scott. I mean, it's been a fantastic album, and I really think it solidified him as crossover. He has so many different sounds, and he has a great voice, and we forget because he's so damn goofy looking. But I feel like it was a really, really good album. It was only his second album, and you forget he's 22. He's super young.
Man,
so,
he's a kid. Yeah,
I think it was exciting to see what more music we can see from him, and he's on top of the world right now. So I'm gonna go Post Malone, Beer Bongs, and Bentleys.
Yeah, that album was fire. I remember the first time I heard it, top to bottom, I was like, man, this is dope. I know a couple people were like, oh, it's not as good as his mixtapes. Most people's albums aren't as good as their mixtapes. No. So I totally get that. But for an actual album, it was dope. He has a great sound. He just has an amazing ear for music. So that's a dope album. If it even takes home album of the year at the Grammys, I wouldn't be surprised. And honestly, I wouldn't even be mad at it. But for the sake of conversation, I'm going to go with album of the year to be Drake's Scorpion of those on this list. Now, Travis Scott's Astroworld, I think it was a dope album. I'm not a huge fan of an album full of auto-tune to say it could be an album of the year.
Right.
But still, great music. Cardi B deserves her place, great music. I didn't listen much to Ariana Grande's album. I heard a few songs, but for her lane, for pop music, she's killing it. She had an amazing year. That Thank You Next song could end up being song of the year for the whole next year. So good for her. But for what Drake has done for music, when a lot of people was starting to count him out a little bit, they didn't know where he was going to go for this album. He dropped a side A, a side B. It sold very well. Side A of his album, the actual rap album, I thought was dope. I think it was almost perfect. If he condensed the album between A and B, I thought it could be probably a classic or his best album he ever made. But for the impact that it had, having Nice for What, having God's Plan, 2 huge songs on it, and just where Drake is right now, he still is not falling off. He's been on top for almost 10 years,
Right.
which just never happens for one artist. I think that should win Album of the Year at the Grammys. And I think overall Scorpion has been the best overall album for impact, sales, all that. Drake's had a dominant 2018.
I dig it.
Dig it. What else we got?
So a
What's the
lot
good one?
happened in Chicago in 2018. We're gonna talk about the biggest Chicago story of the year. I'm really sad you didn't include my move here to this list because I feel like that was the biggest news story.
Weren't you already here in 2018?
I moved to the city. I graced out with my presence.
God.
You're welcome.
Come on.
I
forgot
the
you-
biggest news story of 2018. Lots happened, but we have a couple that obviously are noteworthy. Mayor Rahm Emanuel not running for re-election in Chicago for 2019, but passing a lot of laws right before he goes. Also, Chicago Blackhawks fire their head coach, Coach Q. Jason Van Dyke convicted of second-degree murder after Laquan McDonald trial, a long, drawn-out process. Chicago loses the Amazon HQ bid to the tri-state area, and of course, Addison Russell is suspended from the Chicago Cubs after spousal abuse allegations. Lots going on in 2018. What's the biggest news story of Chicago?
So for me, it has to be that the fact that Mayor Rahm Emanuel is not running for re-election in 2019. As we mentioned on the last episode, I think it's for a bigger cause. I think he's running for something else somewhere since he's still a relatively young man. So, and he just messed up a lot in Chicago. He fell out of favor. But for someone to not run for re-election when you can many, many times over in Chicago, you don't really hear that too often. So something was going on behind the scenes to where they say, here, we got to make a change. Or maybe, like I said, he's going to be running for a much bigger office where it's governor, Congress, future president, who knows. But something had to happen for him to get out of that seat. And where the city of Chicago is with all of our debt, everything going on, crime rate, all that, that was just a big story. So now coming up for 2019, electing the next mayor of Chicago was huge for the city. It's very important. They have to elect the right person. So I think going into 2019, that is a huge story. The fact that we're going to have a new mayor, a lot of changes are going to happen, and I hope it's changes for the good.
Awesome. I'm going to go with the Jason Van Dyke conviction. I didn't live in Chicago when this all happened, so I was following the trial really, really closely because I hadn't heard of it. And this was one of the first real instances that has affected America in the past few years where a young man was murdered by a cop for essentially just being Black. And so the racial profiling, and it brought to light so much Chicago PD corruptness that I think we knew was there, but we'd never really had proof. So not only did we just kind of get justice for this case, but I feel like it was justice for some other similar cases that have happened throughout America. And it was the positive reinforcement that the whole movement needed to kind of have hope to go forward. Because this isn't the first time it's happened. It's definitely not the last. So it was a long drawn out process. Jason Van Dyke, a lot of people thought he was going to get off for this and he didn't. I think the justice system really did the right thing. And it's also leaked out, like I said, some corruptness and some allegations pointing back to the Chicago PD of some cover up, including alleged allegations towards a current mayoral candidate here in Chicago. So I feel like this was important, something to bring to light, something that really can give us hope going into 2019 that the justice system doesn't always do us wrong.
That's a great point. And I'm glad that you mentioned that this is going to lead to other cases. And I think just cops in general have to be more careful now that he was convicted. Everyone's watching out. There's going to be some more people that have been convicted too. So I'm glad that it happened and needed to happen. If he would have got acquitted, I was scared for the city of Chicago. It was a Friday afternoon. They sent everyone home early. They knew it was going to be chaos. So I'm glad he was convicted. And I'm not sure has he been sentenced yet or what's going on with that?
No, he hasn't been sentenced yet. But they said it's coming this month. Gotcha.
Yeah, crazy year in Chicago. The Addison Russell situation was big. Chicago losing the Amazon headquarters when a lot of people thought they would get it is pretty big. So that would have opened up a lot more job opportunities, even though there's a lot of jobs in the city. So that was a big story. And then obviously the Blackhawks firing their coach after winning Stanley Cups, have a great ride, and they did kind of need a change. So they're not doing much better, but I think it was a good move, but it was definitely a shocking move for the city. People weren't expecting that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody always pinpoints Chicago as being so loyal to their coaches, and then they just up and fired Q. That shocked a lot of people.
Absolutely. So
all right, let's
let
go
us know
ahead
your
and
thoughts
thank
on
our
that.
What?
Sorry. See, isn't that what happens when we're not sitting right next to each other? It's all
Okay,
good.
let's go ahead and thank our sponsors before we move on to the next set of 2018 awards. And that, of course, is Posh by Amani. We love this lady. We give her so much props on social media. She's really running a fantastic women's apparel boutique based out of Houston, founded on faith, love, and the right to stand out. They have some awesome clothes, quality, affordable, and it's serving all women one curve at a time. So all sizes, you can check them out online at poshbyamani.com. They just opened their second store, and they're offering free shipping to celebrate until the end of the year. Check them out. It's Posh by Amani, IMANI, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and their website, poshbyamani.com.
You know, it's funny. I was actually just looking on their Twitter, and it looks like Posh by Imani. Shout out to Madeline. I guess they were featured on like the Fashion GXD magazine.
Nice.
Just today. So they're growing. They're doing a lot of good things. So shout out to Posh by Imani.
Stupid active on Twitter.
Oh yeah, and not even Twitter, just Instagram, all over the place. For some reason,
I noticed Twitter the last couple of days. Like she's been a tweeting fool.
Good for her.
Yeah.
She's growing fast.
That's like your favorite thing too. So
what's that?
Twitter. You love Twitter.
I love Twitter. I love Twitter. I love all of them though.
Okay.
All right. So next, so we got to talk a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't want to, but we have to talk a little Donald Trump. So we're going to talk about the weirdest Donald Trump stories, and you pick your favorites. So first, Donald Trump suggesting that they adopt the stop and frisk model to end violence. Then he calls the California wildfires mismanagement and threatens to cut off federal funding. 3, proposes the bill for the House to end birthright citizenship. And then lastly, his entire Twitter feed. What's been the weirdest Donald Trump story of 2018?
God, it's all so weird. Everything about this guy is so weird. I'm gonna go with this Twitter feed. For some reason, the president of the United States takes it to Twitter anytime he wants to say anything, and the majority of the time nobody even wants to hear when he addresses the nation in press conferences, because it's just like his Twitter feed. Everything he says is just so discombobulated. Like he's all over the damn place, and his Twitter is ridiculous. I mean, he has literally, contradicted himself on Twitter for things he said in news conferences.
Right.
You know what I mean? He publicly says on Twitter that he hasn't done XYZ, that we have footage of him doing. I mean, he's just a hot mess. I think he really needs to learn how to turn his own notifications off on Google. Like, I swear to God, he probably watches, like, it's like that episode of The Office where the video comes out of the guy singing, and he's looking at every comment and trying to respond. And I swear to God, that's what President Trump does. Like, he looks at everything people are saying about him, and he tries to respond via Twitter. And much like a lot of people, we really don't care what you have to think about everything. I just think he's a mess, and I hate his Twitter, and it's like a train wreck, and I can't stop following it.
Why don't they take his phone away, or like someone say, here, you need to stop tweeting? I feel like it's just never going to happen at this point.
I feel like at this point it's just become so fun to watch. Like, we can't unfollow him. Like, everyone needs to know what he's going to tweet.
And it's funny that people say they block him or, unfollow him. You're still going to see what he tweets, because every social media, website or something, they're going to post about it. So you'll still know whether you want to or not.
Literally, it's 2018 and it's headline news when our president tweets something stupid. I mean, where have we come? This is crazy.
I'm going to pick the bill of the House to end birthright citizenship. I think, and it's just, he wants it to be United States or bust so bad that he wants to end birthright citizenship to people. So I don't know why he just has this infatuation to say that, if you're from out of the country or anywhere, that you don't belong here. Just it's a weird concept. I know he wants it to just be United States only. That's actually never going to happen. Even last week, with his argument that he had on television about building the wall, it's just really never going to happen. So I'm not sure why he still has it in his brain. I mean, United States is a free country. people can come in no matter what, how he wants to stop it. It's just never going to happen. So the day that I heard that story, I couldn't believe it. Like, this guy's going way too far. It's never actually going to happen. So I think that's going to be the wildest story of the year. But like I said, his entire Twitter feed, that might take the cake, because each and every day, you just don't know like what he's going to say. And I promise before the end of the year, there's going to be something else that everyone's going to be up in arms about. So that probably is
right. By the time
weirdest
this
story of
episode
2018.
drops, there will be something else. So.
Absolutely. Always is.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to some sports. It was a big year for sports, 2018. So we have some top stories, and of course, there's a lot more, but Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. Loyola Chicago made the Final Four as a number 11 seed. I think it was like the first time in 100 years, forever. Yep. Drew Brees became the all-time passing yards leader, yet many still don't consider him like top 5 QBs of all time. Golden State Warriors won back-to-back championships. Colin Kaepernick became the face of the Nike and is not currently signed. And Bryce Harper rejected a $300 million contract from the Nationals. What's the biggest sports story of 2018?
So for me, and I hope you don't steal my answer, but I have to go with Loyola Chicago making the Final Four as an 11 seed. It was, and probably just for the fact I'm being a prisoner of the moment and being in Chicago. The city was crazy. I actually went to one of the bars for one of their Loyola games in their run last year. Nuts. The bars are packed. People loved it. And they almost made it. They almost made it to the very end. So I will give them that. But of course, my University of Michigan Wolverines made it to the championship instead. But I think it's a story of a school that size. They had a crazy run. They had a great team. Like, the city was rocking. And for Loyola in Chicago, obviously the city of Chicago doesn't have like any huge colleges. They have DePaul, Loyola, this and that and the other, but it's not a standard school each and every year that is going to be up there in basketball. That was a crazy story. People were rooting for them. People all over the country were rooting for them as the underdog when there wasn't a lot of upsets this past season. So I think overall that might be my top story of the year. Back to your Drew Brees comment of why he's not top 5 yet of all time. It's because I think he needs more Super Bowls. Like, even if he wins one more this year, I think he'll get there, but I think he needs to get past one to get to that level. That's why he's not. But been a lot of crazy stories this year. I think we could have had a lot more, but I was like, how the hell did we narrow this down? But I'm going with Loyola, the biggest sports story of 2018.
Yeah. Interesting.
What you got?
I don't even know. There's so much that you can talk about.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with...
Did I take your answer?
No. Yeah, a little. I'm going to go with Bryce Harper rejecting that $300 million contract. This is the biggest contract we have ever seen in MLB history. Bryce Harper is a freaking all-star. He's young. He's got his whole career ahead of him. This would have been a no-brainer for him to be set for life, and he turned it down. And I think a lot of people were amazed and confused. I think he definitely just made history in this, and we're all just hanging on the edge of our seats to see where he's going to go, and of course crossing our fingers that he comes to Chicago. So I think that this just amazed everybody. Everybody was surprised. So I'm going to go with that.
Right, and for that reason, I think it's clear as day he's coming to Chicago. It'll be a shot. I think so. Outside of that, or the Yankees, where else is he going to go? He has to go to New York or Chicago, maybe the Dodgers, but all signs point to coming to the Cubs, which they needed. So I think it's a dope move. But yeah, who rejects $300 million? There's only a couple people in the world. Only a couple people in the world. Imagine,
when you're that young,
right?
Even so, I know what $300 million is, but when you're that young, you're like, holy crap, $300 million.
Right. To say, oh no, pass. I'm good.
Thank you.
I want more. That's crazy. So good choice. There's a lot of sports stories. That was hard to dwindle those down. We could have picked a lot more. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's been a crazy year in sports. Next, you're probably gonna know what I'm gonna pick for this one, but let's see what you pick. Best social media platform in 2018. We got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. There's a lot more, but we're gonna narrow it down to those 4. What's your pick?
I love Snapchat.
You do love Snapchat.
I do love Snapchat.
I don't know why.
Because it's my favorite. What do you mean?
It's called Instagram Story. They have that.
Yeah. But I love Snapchat. That's it. I mean, I just love Snapchat. I don't
I
necessarily
know.
have like a
I don't
reason.
get it. I just
I feel
don't
like
get
my
it.
people talk more on Snapchat, and I just like it. But also, I live so far away from like the majority of my friends. You know, I like to see the videos and like see what they're doing and like pretend like I'm still there with them. So.
Pretend like you're still there.
Yeah.
So you like creeping on them.
No, we Snapchat each other. No, we talk to each other on Snapchat.
I
And also,
guess.
I'm a girl, so you know I love the filters.
That will give Snapchat that their filters are fire. You can
Yeah.
you can make an amazing picture through their filters. So I will give Snapchat
Oh,
that.
I like the weird ones. I like when you can put like puppy dog face on yourself.
If Instagram takes their filters to that level, it's over for Snapchat.
Yeah.
And now that Facebook has Facebook stories, it's really almost over for Snapchat. They're on their last legs. I know a lot of people who deleted Snapchat like a long time ago. So
well, that's like that's like for the older people, but I'll say like for the younger generation, you're absolutely wrong.
Yes and no. I will give you that.
No, you are wrong. I do marketing like for a living, so sorry. I know that you're wrong.
So what are they saying?
Like Snapchat's going to become the new e-commerce.
Who in the world said that?
People, oh my God. I'll send you some articles.
Who said that? I was saying, isn't Snapchat like going down in like all their rankings, like the money that didn't they sell for a lot cheaper? So I could be way off on this.
Well, I just think that the previous owners didn't really know how big it could get. Because now people are marketing on Snapchat and they're doing it really effectively.
Marketing what?
Marketing products.
I will say I did. You can do like random subscriptions and things like that. I'm subscribed to people's Snapchats that I don't know exist.
Yeah.
So I don't know like how and why they're doing this, but it's not like I actually look at it and click on what they're doing though.
Okay, so what's your fave?
So mine is obviously Twitter. Right. Is because not only that, I think you can get most of your news stories from there. So like if something's trending, you can find out what's going on instantly. You can talk to random people. Random people will talk back to you. And I think it's just it's a cool way to kind of really know or stay on top of like what's going on. I will say you find the most trolls on Twitter, but you can get stuck in a rabbit hole on Twitter. It's hilarious. You could be cracking up for hours, but you can actually get into like some real actually good discussions. And the funny part is it's like different types of Twitter. There's like people that won't comment. I know a lot of people that have Twitter that never say a word. That's like creeper Twitter. There's Black Twitter on there. There's actually people like there's wrestling Twitter. There's like sports Twitter. So there's like all different types on there. But I think it's funny. I think it's dope. And it's funny when people say that they actually don't have it. I'm like, why would you not? I think it's much better than Facebook. 'Cause I feel like Facebook's all like family pictures, people you went to like high school and college with that you keep up with. Twitter, it's just all over the place. It's nuts. You can talk to people that you don't know, won't ever meet. Where like Instagram is just mainly pictures and photos that you really won't comment on. You're just going to scroll and look at anyway. So hands down, best platform is Twitter.
Cool.
And I know you got to start tweeting more.
Okay.
Is that no?
I mean, I'm not tweeting about the stuff that you want to talk about.
No, you don't. You tweet about anything you want.
Okay. I tweet,
you can talk about
every day.
You tweet about your marketing things. We'll work on that.
I do.
Next, honestly, let us know what you think would be your best social media platform. I think I know most people are probably going to pick Facebook or Instagram. People love Instagram nowadays, but I feel like Instagram gets boring because it's only pictures, but
yeah.
Hey, what do I know? Next, there's a lot of great sports seasons, so not just sports stories of 2018. Of this list, what's your favorite sports season? We got the 2018 NFL season that the Eagles won, the 2018 college football season that we're pretty much wrapping up now. We got the college football playoffs starting soon. The 2017-2018 NBA season that Golden State swept the Cleveland Cavaliers. 2018 March Madness, or the 2018 MLB season that just ended.
So I've actually been really into the college football this season, which is unlike me. I think it's been a really, really good season on both sides. So that's been interesting to watch, but I of course have to go with the 2018 NFL season. I just think it's been really fun this year to watch. I mean, we've had like drama, we've had like some amazing records being set, we've had players not showing up to camp, begging for trades, people like that. So
right.
I think it's just been really fun to watch this year. And I think going into it, we had no idea it was going to be the Chiefs and the Rams, and the Bears this high. So
right.
I think it's been really, really fun to watch. And even like people I know who don't who aren't as into football said
Right.
that they've been watching religiously and like playing fantasy this year because it's just been great overall. My fantasy team's garbage, so that sucks. But other than that, I feel like it's been a great season for football. And also I'm like a little biased because my Bears are actually playing well. So I'm going 2018 NFL all the way.
I can't pick that because obviously my Detroit Lions are tanking it. They're not doing so hot this year. My fantasy team is not doing so hot this year. So has been an amazing overall season. But in terms of like my fantasy and my own personal team, not so good. But at least we still have the New England Patriots who are hoping to get a first round bye. I think they have to win the last 2 games, which they probably will. And then Houston only has to lose one game, which they probably will. So we think they'll get a first round bye and they'll be back at it again. So I'm going to go with, I guess you kind of took my answer because the 2017-2018 NBA season, Golden State had that locked down the entire way. So there's really no point in picking that. March Madness was pretty good. The 2018 MLB season, I think it was kind of down.
It was boring. Yeah,
it kind of was boring.
I thought baseball was super boring this year.
Right, I feel like it was very top heavy. Like the Boston Red Sox were the best team all the way.
I mean, it was the best Boston Red Sox franchise we'd basically seen ever. So
yeah. So it was really, I think everyone knew that. Like the Yankees were good, the Dodgers were good, but no one was even a threat of Boston. So by default, I guess I'm gonna have to go with the 2018 college football season, even though it's not over yet. And just for the simple fact that I think we do have a really good playoff coming up with Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma. Those are 4 great teams, matchups you really don't get to see that often. I'm hoping Alabama loses because they never lose. They always win. It'd be sweet to see Oklahoma win, especially having the Heisman winner. Mm-hmm. I'm not rooting for Notre Dame. Please, I hope they don't make it because I'll never hear the end of it as a Michigan fan. So hopefully it's a good playoff. It has been a pretty good season. Hopefully it'll be a good bowl game season. But the problem I'm having with it is that it seems like a lot of the best college players that are going to the NFL are not playing in the bowl games. So you need to figure out a way to change that because if you're not in a meaningful bowl game, it just seems like the best players aren't playing to get ready for the NFL. And I think that's going to it is creating a big problem. Like, why have a bowl game if your best players aren't playing? But other than that, I think it has been overall a good college football season.
Because they want money. That was
but what's the point of having your team go to the bowl game if your best players aren't going to be there? Agreed. When it wasn't the case, I feel like it's been a trend like the last couple of years because obviously players have been going to the NFL draft for years, but I think it's just a growing trend. They need to change that rule and say like they have to play or something like that because just sitting out for no reason, like what's the point of playing your season then?
Well, you already know how I feel about college football, so let's move on.
Absolutely, we don't have to get into that today.
Right, exactly. I don't want to get on my soapbox.
Don't do it.
So,
podcast, this is a chill episode today.
If you're listening to this podcast, you like other podcasts. So, I feel like we didn't even name a top 5 because there's so many out there.
Oh my God.
Podcasts are blown up. There's podcasts for everything nowadays. So
there is.
Besides Alternative Facts, what's your favorite podcast?
So I will say that in terms of like non-famous podcasts, there's a lot that are out there now. There's some really good ones and there's something for everyone. So if you're just getting into podcasts, like them, check out some others. You'd be surprised at the content that you'll see. They're very good. But my top 2 podcasts that I always listen to, and it's tough because you're so busy, you really can't listen to them. But I always listen to the Joe Budden podcast. And then 2, I always listen to Drink Champs. Drink Champs is hilarious. I don't know if have you ever listened to Drink Champs?
I have not.
Okay, it comes on TV too. Noriega is the host, but they always have music artists on there. And the whole premise of the show is they drink, they smoke, and they just talk for like an hour or 2. It's absolutely hilarious. It's a good podcast. And then the Joe Budden podcast, like they stay on the pulse of like everything that's going on in music, sports, on top of it. Like they just have good hosts. It just seems very real, like down to earth. They just like shoot the shit. It's not like anything formal. They go through topics, but it holds my attention. There's a little long, like some of theirs are like over 3 hours, which I don't have time for all that, but they're doing a great job. They're exclusive to Spotify. They're changing the game of how podcasts are run, and it's giving opportunities to other people to be exclusive on different platforms. So they've had a great year, but overall, the industry overall has just grown a ton, and I'm excited to see where it's headed for 2019.
Cool.
What about you?
So like you already pointed out, I'm a marketing nerd and I follow some marketing podcasts that I really like. like Innovation Station and Social Media World. Those are good ones.
Yep.
But my favorite is called Guys We Fucked.
Watch your language.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't even tell you that. I'm surprised we didn't pick like a fan of the year. But I forgot to tell you, my dad called me after last week and was like, "Really good podcast, but you guys cussed way too much." So,
That's hilarious.
Dad, you're gonna hate
Well, we
this
did better
segment.
this week, right? I hope he approves of this week because
We were good
down.
until that moment. But anyway, so GWF, it's these two comedians out of New York. The whole thing started, and I got caught up this year. I really got into podcasts because I was doing this commute to the city, and I've never had a long commute before. So
Right.
that's where I really got into podcasts. But it's these two comedians, and one of them got broken up with by her boyfriend, like after she had bought him lunch. And so she called her comedian friend and was like, "Do you want to have a podcast where we interview all the guys we've had sex with?" And so which sounds ridiculous. They are
Nuts.
not still going on that. They've ran out of people.
I was about to say that would be incredible.
It's been
if they're
going for
still
like 3 years, so it's been a while. But they're just really, they talk about like feminism and feminist issues and being, you know, sexually open. And I will say it's not like anything for you if you're shy. But I think it's really interesting to just have the dialogue open and to talk about it. And there's a lot of guys that tune in, and they're just kind of like regular girls, but talking about things that nobody else will talk about. And so I really like it. It's like my favorite. I subscribe to it. So.
Didn't you see them live recently?
Yeah, I did actually for my birthday. My roommate Josh took me to go see them live. They were at Zany's, and they just put on it's just comedians, so they put on a fantastic show. They're just really good. They're also like all over Twitter. They tweet religiously, so I
That's
follow
dope.
them for sure. But
That's dope.
they're just really good. I feel like it's important to have the tough conversations, like I pretty much say after every topic we have, and keep open dialogue. And I think they do that really well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So find more podcasts. They're out there. There's some great ones out there. There's some not so great ones out there, but there's something for everyone. But of course, you keep listening to Alternative Facts Chicago. We got a lot more for 2019. And now, before we get out of here, it's our last one. Got to wrap up. But of course, we got to have our Clowns of the Year. I know who mine is. I like yours, though, too. So I think you should go first, because I was almost going to pick yours, but you stole it.
You put yours first.
I know, I'm kidding. I know. And I was like, dang it, I should have picked that.
Yeah, stop saying that I steal your stuff. I'm over this. Anyway, so my clown of the year is social media trolls. I am so freaking over people who sit behind their keyboard and say whatever the fuck they want to say because there's no repercussions. And it's just getting ridiculous for whatever reason. Everything that's coming out right now in the media, lots of negative news, and everyone is so offended and sensitive from everything. And when they get mad, instead of opening in a real communication and talking it out, they take it to social media and they complain and they troll other people. And I mean, it's not just like celebrities, it's like regular people. Like if you tweet your opinion on something, chances are you're gonna get trolled. And it's just like, come on, like when did we get to this place in the world where all we do is just make negative comments, complain, and be sensitive to everything? Like we're way too wrapped up in the little details to even see the bigger picture. It's like a distraction from making important decisions in your life because you're wrapped up on the Twitter and Instagram conversations. Like chill out, take a seat, realize the world around you, and like stop being so mean. It's just like ridiculous and out of hand. Like we don't have to be offended by everything. We don't have to have an opinion about everything. You know, like you guys just aren't really that smart. So get over it.
They call them, I think they're called like social media warriors or something like that. Somebody put one day on my Facebook. Social justice warriors. I was cracking up. I couldn't believe it. That was hilarious. Like it's true. It's like people that are fake, like fake woke, fake mad for one topic, and the next day it's on to something else.
It's crazy. We don't have a reason to be mad about everything. Like I'm a very opinionated person. You know that. And I stand up for what I believe in, but I want to have a conversation with you. I want to talk about it on the podcast. I have other platforms rather than just like taking it to Twitter and complaining or like
people are nuts, man.
at Trump. Like, give me a break.
People are nuts. It's just the world that we're in. So good choice. Mine, unfortunately, have to do this, but maybe this will be his wake-up call for 2019 to wake up, get a life, and just chill the F out, bro. But my 2018 Clown of the Week has to be the one and only Kanye West. He's had a horrible year. Like, he had, his run in June with all his albums. Like, he dropped an album. Pusha T dropped an album, which was great. Him and Kid Cudi, Tiana Taylor, Nas dropped an album. So he had a pretty good month of music that came out. But outside of that, it's been pure chaos year-round, from the MAGA situation to supporting Donald Trump to selling more shoes and shoes not selling well, and him being mad about not being, considered a fashion icon, to his beef with Jay-Z. And now his issues with Drake have come back around to where he's tweeting like crazy all over the place. And I'm not sure why his wife, Kim Kardashian, will not say, take this phone as a wife and say, here, you need to stop. It's like they love it. It's like the Kardashians, they play into it because it works for their brand. I'm not sure what's going on. But Kanye West has fallen so much out of favor from the legend that we know and love that he has to be the Clown of the Year. I know a lot of people love him. A lot of people still support him. I want Kanye West to be great because, being from Chicago, he is a legend. He's made great music, one of the best musicians of our time, producers of our time. But right now, he's acting just erratic, and it could be mental health issues. I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, he's had an absolutely crazy year, and we hope for 2019 he chills out, gets better, but I really don't know if that's going to happen. But by far and away, he is the biggest Clown of the Year.
Yeah, he's special.
He's special.
He's
and then
special.
like him using like his mental illness for like all of his excuses and say you shouldn't talk about me because of my mental illness. He's talked about people all the time. So it's like you can't pick and choose like when something's okay and when it's not based off of, what you like. So it's crazy. Hope he gets it together, but he is Clown of the Year. Clown of the Year. I'm
surprised you didn't pick Trump.
No, he's like the clown of lifetime. So do we ever have to pick him again? I feel like it's almost like no point.
There's almost no point. Yeah, we did name his Twitter feed as being like the dumbest thing he did. So yeah.
Absolutely. It's been a great year for Alternative Fact Chicago. Yeah. We're wrapping it up here. It's been a lot going on, from doing multiple live shows, multiple sponsorships. Kate, you come on as a host a few months ago. I think it was like September. It seems like it's been so long ago, and a lot's happened since then. But just want to thank you for joining the show. It's been a great ride so far. 2018 has been amazing for the podcast, and we just have a lot coming up, more in store for 2019 too. So I want to thank you for joining the show. Been a good ride, and we got a lot more to do next year.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks to all the listeners, because if it weren't for you, we'd just be like talking to each other in a room. So yeah, it's been super fun. Thanks for letting me be part of it. Absolutely. It is great to see, like, a lot of people always, reach out with comments. They hit me up on the side too, talking about topics. It's been that way all along. So it's cool. I like seeing where it's grown. Like, the show is awesome. Everyone says it's great. We can still keep growing from there too. So I'm excited to see like where this next year takes us. But been a great ride. We're going to take a break, chill out with our families, enjoy Christmas, New Year's, and we'll be back after the first of the year. But before we sign off for the year, you got anything else left to say? I just want to give a public service announcement to put your phone away and be with your family. That is great. Hello? Did you say something? I guess that means she's gone. No, I'm here. You cut out. Anyway, though, we're going to get up out of here. This has been Fact Chicago, episode 71. We love you. Ready for the holidays. Kate, are you back? Where'd they go? Did she really just sign off on us? No, I'm here. Oh, I said something. You were gone. No, hilarious. You cut out. I was here. I don't know what just happened, but I do like that fact. I think for the holidays, we should enjoy times. But I feel like it's just so hard. Everyone's just always on their phone doing things. So yeah, but that's why you gotta make an effort to be present. Be in the moment. Is that what they say? That's what you just said. Yeah. That's what the saying means. Be in the moment. Yeah, live in the moment. Good. It was good advice. There you go. I felt like you should coin it. I did. Yeah. Awesome. So we're getting out of here. It's been episode 71. We shall see you in 2019. Be safe. Enjoy New Year's. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. All that stuff. Oh, my goodness. I'm out of here, though. Bye. Love you all. Peace.